Welcome into a Wednesday night lights edition of the Desmond Johnson Show here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. Marc Pruitt, beat writer for the Winston Salem Journal, prep beat writer for Winston Salem Journal, in the house as he is every Wednesday during high school football season. He's here to give us his top three games for the week of September the 5th, 2025. I think I might know one of them. We'll get into that and some of the bigger storylines that have emerged over the past 2 weeks in high school football in the Triad. Of course, you know, we are your leader for high school football coverage here in the Triad, and we've got a big announcement regarding a game that we'll be doing this Friday. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. It's the Desmond Johnson Show.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
Yeah, welcome to the Carolinas. Everywhere you go, the Tiger Carolina Blue, the finest. Live action, feedback, the city needs that. I've been number one, no cap. Here's the recap. Adrenaline is my addiction. I'm about to relapse. Step on the turf if you want and get your weed whack. I'm going harder than a martyr on the starter end. It's the heart of man, that's a rap like a cardigan. I'm breaking records, it's fourth and inches. I count the seconds. The over-under's my roar of thunder, my secret weapon. Yeah, the game is to be told. I don't break, I break modes. Follow me on Tobacco Road.
Live with Desmond Johnson, son, the live is one. Represent NC to the fullest.
And again, welcome to a Wednesday night lights edition of the Desmond Johnson Show. Every Wednesday during the football season, we preview Marc Pruitt's his big three games of the upcoming week. Marc, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
How we doing? I'm all right. I feel like I'm a day behind because of the holiday Monday, but doing all right otherwise.
Yeah, same here. A lot of stuff going on. I'm trying to keep track of everything. I got something else going on here in the corner at the same time while we're doing this, but multitasking. That's what we do, Marc. Let's go ahead and get into it. Actually, I already assume the first game you're going to talk about here. Let's just go ahead and let's just get at it. What's cooking?
What game do you think I'm going to talk about?
After speaking to
a big game Friday.
Yeah. I'm still I didn't go to the Grimsley coaches show Monday because it was Labor Day, and I'd already been in Greensboro once already that day. Yeah. But I was going to joke with Coach Brown that they kind of lied to me last week about the Faison Brandon situation in his hand. He was a guest on the show last week. So, like, I guess he hurt his hand in overtime versus West Charlotte. He was a guest on the show Monday. Nothing on his hand, no mention of an injury, nothing, like, at all. Like, we had no clue whatsoever. And then come Friday, it leaked out on social media that he might not be playing. Right. So I'm online like, no, he's going to play. I saw him Monday, nothing on his hand, all good. And then Coach Brown went on Instagram, was like, he's playing. So I'm like, yeah, that's what I said. And then probably about 6:45, right before we kicked off East Forsyth and Northern, Drew Dull over at East Forsyth, the baseball coach, he does their stats and stuff too for football. He texted me and he was like, yeah, Faison's in street clothes. He's not playing tonight. And I was like, what? And then the story came down. Ligament in his hand. High school OTs reporting it's not considered serious. Have you had a chance to talk to Coach Brown or them about that?
I went to the West Grimsley game last week, and I made it a point to be there about 5:30 because I wanted to meet the buses when they arrived to kind of see, because I had heard a lot of the same stuff. I'd seen the social media rumors kicking up, and I'm never one to believe that stuff until I hear it from the horse's mouth. And that's why I just kind of stayed away from it until I saw them come out on the field for warm-ups. Faison did not have his pads on. There was nothing on his right hand. But he was in warm-up pants, and everybody else was in shorts or their football pants and had their pads with them, and they were ready to go. Faison was not. And he just stood by watching everybody warm up. He did not throw in pregame. And then when Coach Brown came on the field, he was he snuck over towards the sideline where I was, and that's when I said, "How's he doing?" And he's like, "He's not playing tonight. Probably going to be out a couple of weeks." And then I took it from there. I tweeted that out before the game. I don't know. It was probably 6:30ish or so.
Yeah, I think that was when we kind of confirmed when we saw your tweet there. Yeah, and I'm joking. Coach Brown, I'm lying.
Yeah. He was, I think. From stuff I gathered, he wasn't it was kind of maybe a little deceptive, but not really. He was answering the question that he was asked, because most people were saying to him, did he break his thumb? He did not break his thumb.
That's right.
It's a legitimate issue. He did treatment on it. So
he
not lie. He did not play Friday night, and he probably won't. He won't be playing this week, and there might be another week or two before he's back to normal. As Coach Brown told me last week, he's like, when they tell me that he's ready to go, he'll get back in there. And then I asked Faison after the game, I said, well, watching your replacement play the way he did, he's like, oh, I'm proud of him. He said, but I better not be out too long, because I might lose my job to this guy. Brody Lowe really had a great first debut last week against West Forsyth. 2 touchdown passes, 3 for 340 plus yards, and looked really sharp doing it. Met the moment, basically. He was not afraid, wasn't playing like a freshman, that's for sure. Grimsley's just loaded everywhere. They got talent all over the field, and it was a good win. They were down 17-14 going into that fourth against West, and West just couldn't get anything done, couldn't move the ball in the fourth quarter last week. Had a couple of 3-and-outs. And
it's that defense, the Grimsley defense, the past 3 or 4 years in particular, has just been stout.
Coach Brown said last week he's been really impressed with how they've been playing so far this season.
So for those just now joining us that aren't aware, East Forsyth taking on Grimsley at Jameson Stadium Friday, 7 o'clock kickoff, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Our announcement, we are actually going to broadcast this across both of our channels. This is the Guilford County and Forsyth County game of the week. WTOB 980 AM, 96.7 FM in Forsyth County, 1320 AM, 105.3 FM in Guilford County. Of course, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com will also be patched into the Grimsley NFHS feed. Literally, if you want to listen or watch this game, just come to Tobacco Road and we got you covered. We're going to have a 3-man booth. Myself, Chase Williams, who's the voice of the Whirlies, Rod Funderburk's going to be in the house. We've got pregame plan, halftime plan. This is, to me, the biggest game in the state Friday, between 2 rivals that have not seen each other. Their boats have been kind of circling the past 4 years in the playoffs. We almost got it last year in the Western, the 4A Western final. Grimsley defeated Huff in the semifinal, and East fell to Weddington in the final, in the semifinal, which led to Grimsley Weddington. That was an epic game itself too. Grimsley, it feels like Grimsley, and I was saying this to Rod last night at the Nest. And shout out to Coach Willard, who had his 200th victory at Northern Guilford on Friday, and we celebrated that on the Nest. That'll be, you're going to replay Thursday on Tobacco Road. It was a special hour-and-a-half edition that we did last night. And we were talking about East and Grimsley and them kind of circling each other. They have not played each other since 2020, which was the COVID spring year, which we in Kernsville, we kind of just pretend like that didn't happen. Like that season just didn't exist. Grimsley probably would say no, because they won a state championship during that season. So like they definitely believe it existed. Grimsley has won 58 straight regular season games. The last regular season game they lost was in 2019 to East Forsyth. And it's crazy how these two programs are intertwined. And I was telling Rod, to be honest, when I'm around the Grimsley kids and around their coaching staff, they're a spitting image of East Forsyth. Like it feels like they literally saw what East was doing in 2017, 18, 19, and kind of built it in the same mold. It starts off in the weight room. It starts off in the JV program. And to me, you can tell a program's really good when the assistant coaches don't leave. Like when they don't go anywhere, they're there for a while. Yeah. Last night when we were celebrating Willard's 200th win, he's been there since 2003. Coach Studemont, he's been there with him the entire time. Alan Plaster, he's been there with him in some capacity the entire time. Yeah. He's got kids that coached with him now that were players with him on those first teams, like that come back and are here right now. And that's what I'm seeing happen in Grimsley too, where some of these coaches that Coach Brown has assembled, they stay with him. So you have that continuity there. And then Grimsley's gotten to a point, Mark, where it feels like they don't go into games hoping to win. Like, you know, if we do this, we do that, we'll have a good shot to win. They go in expecting to win all the big games now. Like they've hit some kind of switch in the past couple of years where I just expect them to win big games. And every big game they've been in the past couple of years, they've found a way to win it. It might not be a blowout, but you have to beat Grimsley. Grimsley's not going to beat themselves, basically, is what I'm saying. And you saw them Friday with West Forsyth. West had a good shot to maybe pull off an upset with Faison not playing. Your thoughts on Grimsley versus West on Friday before we get into East and Grimsley?
They jumped jumped right out 14-0 in the first quarter, and they have a presence about them. And I made a big point to watch them warm up last night. I saw them play last year in the opening game with Mount Tabor, and kind of what you were saying. The expectation is to win every game. They have that confidence about them, and I don't think it's a cockiness or anything like that. As a former basketball player and basketball coach, we used to call it basketball confidence. Just kind of that expectation. You knew you were prepared for the game. You knew you were the better team, and you expected to win. And it's a disappointment if you don't. But the way they just go about their business and prepared, everything was crisp. Everything was sharp during the pregame last week. Working in Brody Lowe, the quarterback that was in for Faison last week. Just came away real impressed with the pregame routine with them. And you could just see that it looked flawless to me as an outside observer. And of course, I don't make a point to watch a lot of warm-ups, but the curiosity in me was wanting to see this kid, ninth grader, Brody, and kind of how he was going to be. Didn't strike me as being nervous at all. I talked to him for a little while after the game last week. It was Greensboro started school last week. So on the second day of school, he learned he was going to be the starting quarterback Friday night. So on his fifth day of high school, he's the starting quarterback in one of the biggest games of the season around here
for the number one team in the state nationally. Right?
He's doing it this week against East Forsyth. We've you and I and all us media people have been clamoring for a game, a regular season like this one, for the last 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah,
to see that this week, and I'd love to see Faison in this stage, but Grimsley's going to be all right. They're going to be fine. I talked to Coach Willard this morning. I'll have a story in the paper Friday about his 200th win, and he mentioned a lot of what you said about Studevant and Plaster and Drew Wicker, and there's another guy that was there with him.
Brandon
Lawson. For the very first win against Glenn, his first year here, that are now on his coaching staff. He said that's probably what means the most to him, is those kind of relationships that he's built over the last 23 years. But I really like the matchup. I liked the matchup last week against West. I thought West had the beef up front on the offensive and defensive lines. They had the running game. The passing game was a lot more sharp against Grimsley last week. And it just came down to a couple of big plays that Grimsley made at the right times.
That's what they do. That's literally what they do. They don't make mistakes. They don't cause penalties, and they just wait for you to mess up. And when you mess up, they take advantage of it. Like West Charlotte. That's how they kind of lost that game for week 1. They had like a bunch of turnovers. You can't do that against Grimsley. So
the only turnover West had last week was after about a 25-yard run by Moses Morris, and he was in Grimsley territory and fumbled the ball right at the end. And they capitalized on that and scored off of that. They know what they're doing out there, and that's the sign of a well-coached team. And even you take the top player in the country in Faison, take him out of that lineup, and it still looked like they played like he was in there. So I think that's the best compliment you can give to a team like that. But I like what East has. Similar to West in the fact that they have a lot of beef up front on the offensive and defensive lines. The East Forsyth secondary, I know, is lights out. I know
they're very good this year. Tim Devers came over from Davie County to coach secondary for East, and it's been fantastic.
Zion had 3 interceptions last week. I know they turned Northern Guilford over, I think, 5 times? I wasn't there.
6. They had 4 interceptions. Ziggy Dobson had an interception too. Zion Pleasant had 2 interceptions in the end zone. That's kind of what it was. It was almost like bend, don't break. Like Northern can get down the field. Their quarterback's really good, by the way. And they would get down to the red zone, and then East would just lock up. And like I said, Zion Pleasant had 2 interceptions in the end zone. Ziggy Dobson had an interception. Amarion Hayes, Big Swole, he caused a fumble. There was 2 fumbles in the game. So they had 6 turnovers in the game. You're not going to beat East with 6 turnovers. Like, even if East is playing sloppy, like, you're not going to be able to beat them with 6 turnovers. And they just couldn't catch up to them. I will say on the East side of this thing, though, that I've been waiting to see East and Grimsley play. And while I would like to see them play against Faison, I don't think this is going to be the only time they see each other. I think they're going to see each other again somewhere in 7A playoffs. So we'll get that matchup probably a little bit later on. So,
but I like it. I'm interested to see it. It's the first time I've seen East this season. Saw him in some scrimmages and 7-on-7s, and talking to Willard back in late June. He was so fired up about his defense. I mean, he just couldn't stop talking about those guys. And so they got Richburg, they got the running back situation. I think it's just going to be a fun game to be at, and it's probably going to be a lot of people at Jameson Stadium.
Yeah, it seats 10,000. I think it's the largest high school stadium in the state, if I'm not mistaken, because they used to use it. Greensboro College used to use it, and other places used to use it for football. And it's going to be packed. I think the last time I was there when it was packed was that 2019 game with Grimsley and East. And then last year they hosted Weddington in the Western Final, and that was a huge game. But yeah, I think with East, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the 2018, 2019 teams where Aaron Bill's the defensive coordinator. Those defenses, they kind of rode those defenses, and the offense was kind of built the same, where the running back committee was kind of by platoon. They had one or two really good wide receivers. I think Jair's better than any of the wide receivers they had. Well, Jameson Warren was on those teams. So they got it's similarly built. Ty Lyles is kind of similarly built to JD Fulp. He's smaller. Fulp is smaller than Lyles, and Lyles uses feet more. But kind of similar offense that they're running there. It felt like on Friday they were trying to hammer home running the football, and I think they're going to continue doing that throughout the year and lean on that. The days of Bryce Baker throwing for 400 yards up in Nashville or whatever every Friday night, that's done. So they're not going to do that anymore. But I've seen East where they don't have to do that. So I think it'll be a battle of the defenses on Friday. Should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. And whoever emerges from that game will be sitting pretty in 7A going forward. It doesn't get easier for either one of them. I think East has Ragsdale after that, and I can't remember who Grimsley has, but they had a little slate here. Their first three games, West Charlotte, West Forsyth, and East Forsyth, yeah.
Grimsley going to Virginia, or somebody from Virginia is playing?
That's like around, like, I think it's in October. They play Verena, and they're a highly ranked Virginia team too. So Grimsley's schedule is a gauntlet. And I asked Coach Brown about that, and he was like, "Yeah, we did that on purpose because we want to know where we're going to be when we get to November." Yeah. East kind of does similar. Honestly, Grimsley, East Forsyth, Weddington, Cardinal Gibbons, those are the 4 and 7A that I'm looking at that are going to probably be there at the end. Like Cardinal Gibbons is probably going to be the East representative in 7A, and then it's probably going to be East Grimsley, to be honest, like for the West side, like it was in 2018-19 before we split. So we got East Grimsley all over the place on Friday. I'll start seeing the promo drop for that, probably starting tomorrow. Give me your other 2 games to watch if you're not watching East Grimsley on Friday. Where else should you be Friday night?
Well, I think Pothtown will be a hot place to be Friday night. Reagan taking on Reedsville. Reagan, they got a beast of a schedule too in non-conference before they hit CPC play. Reedsville, of course, will be right in the conversation again. State title contender. Reedsville lost opening week against Northern Guilford. Come from behind win by the Nighthawks in the fourth quarter. I mean, who doesn't want to go to see Kendra Harrison or Deontay Neal and Reagan's Jacob Smith going to NC State for football and baseball? Reagan's kind of slow out of the gates offensively. Scored 14 points in a win against Tabor, and 7 points last week as they nipped Oak Grove 7-6. Grove pretty good squad as well, but Reagan's running game is solid. John Evans Jr. went for 240 in the week 1 win against Tabor. They got a big offensive line, 2 guys that have already committed to D1 schools. Coach McGee over there has raved about his defense. He told me that might be the best defense he's had there in his 14, 15 years that he's been there now. So Reagan's a solid team, always going to be well coached. They'll always give somebody a fit when people might not expect it. Reedsville is Reedsville, and they're loaded, and they will be amongst, I can't remember if they're 5A, I think, this year.
Yeah, I think they are 5A. They're in the Mid-South.
They're in the mid
weird 4A,
6A split, or 3A, 4A, 5A is one of the two. I'm still figuring all that out myself, but that's going to be a fun one, I think, to see as well. A lot of talent will be in Pothtown Friday night. I'll say that.
Right. Yeah, you're right about Reagan having a tough slate here opening up the season non-conference. A lot of these teams have, based with the reclassification of everything, it opened up 4 or 5 weeks here at the beginning of the season where new rivalries could begin. Play teams that hadn't seen each other in a while could play each other. So I'm happy that Reagan went out and did that. I saw Reagan was ranked really high preseason, but again, going through this non-conference slate, I've always said when I looked at all of it, when I was doing the schedules for Tobacco Road, it's like by the time we get to week 4, we're gonna have a pretty good idea of who's who and what's what because of them playing each other. So really, after this Friday, after the dust settles, we can kind of look and be like, okay, this team's 3-0, this team is 3-0, this team's 2-1, but this is who they lost to. Like we can kind of figure out before conference play begins. Give me your third game here for Friday. So if you're not going out to Poptown and you're not at Jameson Stadium, where should you be?
There's a couple of ones I was looking at for different reasons. Glenn and Parkland are playing each other. They're both 0-2, but Glenn's a really good 0-2 team.
They are. Yeah, they really. I was really impressed with Glenn. We saw him week 1. Yeah.
Put it together last week. Had some great Joel Hayes. I had a story in the paper about Joel today. He's a running back. Had almost 250 yards of offense last week, close to 200 yards rushing. Reynolds just came from behind in the fourth quarter in that one. I think a lot of mistakes led to the win from what I'm understanding about the game. I like Glenn. I think they'll be fine once they get into the conference, the Piedmont Triad 5A, 6A league. Parkland will still be in the CPC, still searching for that first win. That's an interesting one to me because somebody's going to get their first win Friday night, excuse me. I like Page and I like Mount Tabor. A good matchup. I think Page is 1-1, Tabor 0-2, looking for its first win. Tabor's a young team this year, and defensively they really figured something out against Reagan after the first quarter of that game in week 1. And Coach Brown, I know, has got the kids over there that will run through the wall for him. He's been coaching them up, and I think they're going to be fine once they get into conference play as well. Page has kind of been a traditional game for them the last few years. I know they're eager to get that first win for the Spartans this season as well. I had some injuries, I know, since the Reagan game. They've been fighting that. They fought cramps a lot in week 1. So they'll get it together, I think, too, Mount Tabor. So
there you have it. A lot to choose from here. Week 3 around the Triad in terms of high school football. Again, Tobacco Road Sports Radio is your leader in high school football live sports coverage. No 2 games this week. We decided to throw it all at East Forsyth Grimsley. 3-man booth, myself, Chase Williams, Rob Funderburk will be in the house over at Jameson Stadium. Friday, 7 o'clock kickoff. I think we're doing a pregame show. I think it'll only be on WCOG and Tobacco Road Sports Radio. So that'll be at 6:30, followed by kickoff at 7. Both teams 2-0. Grimsley's ranked number 1 in the state. I think East Forsyth's ranked number 10 for the Max Preps. So you got a battle of top 10 teams here, and 2 teams that there's a line from the movie Get 'Em to the Greek that reminds me of this, where they kind of hate each other, but they respect each other. It's like a hateful respect. Like, you know, like they kind of they know about you. I wouldn't even say hateful. I don't think they hate each other. It's not the same as like a East versus West or Grimsley Page type of rivalry. It's more of a measuring stick type of rivalry with East and Grimsley now, what it's developed into, where by far they have been the 2 best teams in the Triad the past, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years at least, where both teams pop out double-digit wins every year, pretty much. Both teams play to damn near Thanksgiving for the most part. These 3rd round, 4th rounds, usually where they are. I was looking at Coach Willard's record since we started doing their games in 2018, and they have played at least 13 games 5 of the 7 years that me and Rod have called East Forsyth football since 2018, which is remarkable. And Grimsley's on that same slate. Again, Grimsley hasn't lost a regular season game in 58 contests. They have not lost a regular season game since 2019. They've been undefeated in conference play, I think longer than that, if I'm not mistaken. I think they were a couple years before they've been running through the Metro. So this is a battle of Titans here. And on the East side, I will say they're ready for it. From me talking to them Tuesday, they're up for the challenge. I already know Grimsley's up for the challenge. I've been badgering Coach Brown and Willard about this matchup for 3 years now. So, like, we're finally going to make it happen. And Tobacco Road's proud to make it go down. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. We will be back Saturday morning, our 11 o'clock time slot live. We'll have Hot Rod Funderburk. We'll have Ryan Smith and NFL tight end, and a former NFL tight end, Ben Troop in the house. We'll do our NFL roundtable. Might see if I can sneak Ryan Stone in here too for some best bets for you for you bettors out there who want to bet on some stuff on Saturday and Sunday. So we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. We will see you guys Saturday morning. Tune in Friday, all day Friday, and Coach's Corner on Thursday, where all the coaches shows we've done over the week. You can hear Mount Tabor, Grimsley, East Forsyth, West Forsyth. You can hear all those tomorrow on Tobacco Road Sports Radio during the afternoon, as well as the North Carolina A&T coaches show. So loaded football is here. Rejoice, everybody. We will see you.